Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host of the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can and champion of the peeps. Patty Pitt's back in the yard of streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights slide off. And you can't have the Raw Rewind without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
I was like choking. Golly.
Still doing a little bit.
Okay, let's stop. It's making me uncomfortable.
It's this makes you uncomfortable. Yeah, it kind of
Yep.
does. Okay. So yeah, what's going on?
You want a war? I was talking about that yesterday with Tim, and Tim can recite the entire thing.
Like the whole
promo.
I'm pretty sure it's only who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Like he knows more than that.
Yeah, he knows the entire thing that he says.
I only know
Where is
that.
Billionaire Ted? Where is the Nacho Man? Yeah, he knows the whole thing. He sent me him saying it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he did the
He's
entire
such a
thing.
gem. He's such a gem.
And I was like, I know John Cena's theme music rap. I don't know if that makes me cool, but
I'm trying to think if there's any famous promos or whatnot that I know like verbatim.
I know. Yeah, I only know John Cena's like "Your time is up, my time is now."
Yeah,
I
the
know
songs
that rap.
I know. Yeah,
Basic Thugonomics, but I also know his first YJ Stinger commercial rap.
Oh, I saw this recently.
The YJ Stinger.
Yeah, because you were talking about it.
Yeah,
you told me that, and then I was like, "What the fuck? I've never heard of this." And then I started watching, and then I was watching an old SmackDown or whatever it was on Peacock, and if no one's done that before, they play the old commercials.
He's in a blue jersey, and it's like the pink one, and it's like, it's the new energy drink ahead of the bunch. That one. This is YJ Stinger, baby, pound and punch. That one. I know that one.
That's incredible.
Yeah. This many years later, I still know it, unfortunately.
I'm trying to like rack my brain because I would love if I could do like a promo like on here. We should like find promos like famous ones and try to recreate them. Fun fact, former guest on here, BRG, him and I were in the same it was a drama class, but a lot of communications majors took it to help with their broadcast skills. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as we know, Brett, not a broadcast guy. He is the pro wrestler. Mm-hmm. He did a Macho Man promo for his, because you had to mimic a voice and go and like do so, and he was really good. Like you should have
done the Scott Hall one.
I should,
because you don't have to be like and that's the thing. Even a little bit of it when Tim was doing it, he had that like little twang that Scott Hall had, because he was like Scott Hall, but was like still Razor, so he still had that like little bit of that like Cuban accent, you know. I thought that was funny.
But I think the only one I know of before we actually go into Raw talk, I think the only one I can remember off the top of my head is the Billy King of the Ring. Do you remember The Rock when he buries Billy Gunn? God, my name is Billy, and I just want King of the Ring. That's all I know right now. I'd have to go back, but yeah, there's a lot going on. I can't. But yeah, let's go. What I got it. We got to check it. Let us know down below in the comments if you have any sort of wrestling famous promo or in ring, back to back, face to face type of thing. Love to hear them, because the people who can do them are, I mean, as you heard Tim, are very good. So let us know there. Sarah, we had Raw last night, and I think you and I once again have differing opinions on our stance on the show.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, like, well, like what were your initial thoughts for the piece?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I felt like there was like some standout moments, but I don't know that it wasn't like the most exciting go home show that I've ever seen in my life. So, but I feel like sometimes you just have those expectations for them to be like really good and kind of like over the top because it's supposed to be like, oh, this is the last show before like the pay-per-view. And so you expect it to be big, but I feel like I don't know, maybe the Royal Rumble is going to deliver. And so it's like, okay, let's not do too much on Raw. Like we're
It
gonna
felt like
maybe we'll
it's
do Raw on Saturday. So like let's tone it down a bit or something.
to me it felt like a lot of things were being teased. It didn't feel like a usual go home show before a pay-per-view because it's the Royal Rumble. So you kind of can't go with that formula because you have to pretty much give every individual person that you're going to highlight in that Rumble in their own story. So like to me, I didn't hate it by any means. It was not the best Raw of the year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it because it's getting me excited not just for the Rumble but for WrestleMania season in general.
It's like I am, but I'm not because I feel like I think maybe how the Rumble goes will kind of determine my excitement level for like everything like lead up to Mania
Mm-hmm.
outside of being there. Like obviously that excitement is there, but I feel if the Rumble kind of goes down how everybody has predicted it to be, then I don't know how excited I'm going to be. Like if we see Punk win, if we see even though I'm excited, like if then Bailey also wins, who we've been saying for months, if Roman wins via cheating, like if everything happens what we think is going to happen, then that's not exciting to me because it's like I don't want to be able to predict these things, like especially at a show like the Rumble. I want to be excited. I want to be like surprised. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be just oh, who's going to be in like the surprise entrance because I do like that they didn't they haven't announced many of them, which is nice because you know, as most people have said, it's always been stupid that they'll announce everybody in it. And I feel like we're going in a direction where it's like you have to almost like qualify to be in the Rumble because I think we're going to have so much talent, especially with some of the news of like this person's coming or this person's going to debut or this person's returning. It's like the roster is going to be way too packed for them to be put in jobber guys that just as filler.
Yeah.
And so it feels like they're going to have to do that. So it's like as far as the Rumble match goes, it's like, okay, that's fine that we don't know everybody, but I don't care about the surprise that. I want to feel surprised about the result and like who wins. Like I don't want it to be like, oh, it's going to be down to Cody and Punk. Okay, and then it's like Punk wins or like what's going to happen with Seth. It's just like I don't want to feel like I already know what's going to happen before it happens. Sometimes the predictability isn't bad, but I feel like in this instance because there are so many different directions that they can go in with the world heavyweight title, with Cody, with Seth, with Punk, with Drew, with whoever. It's like I would rather not know how all of that is going to pan out. I don't want to know beforehand. Like,
yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
To me, I obviously agree with that. My thought process with it though is that I am not trying to predict it. I'm, in that sense, and oh, they better do this because this is that. I'm just sitting here hoping that they're not turning, swerving us in a completely 180 direction. You know what I mean? Like stay on the road and keep me going with the story. And I mean, it feels like with the WWE game announced, I mean, everyone's got a goddamn story to finish. So if you're gonna have that, then at least don't end someone's story start a new one. Is that, you know what I mean by that? Yeah.
Well, it's like with Cody, like, don't put Cody's story on pause because you want to hand everything to CM Punk right away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
That's the thing that's gonna piss me off too. You know what I mean? Because Cody didn't get everything he wanted right away. Like, we don't even know if he's gonna get his rematch at Mania. So if he, let's say, like, so if we don't know that, then how come Punk comes back, does the exact same thing that Cody did, and declares what he's there for, which he said is to win the Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania, much like what Cody said he wants to become the champion. Why does he get to do it 3 months after he returns? After he was gone for over 10 years, trashed the company, and is a part-timer. He's not doing half of the stuff that Cody's been doing, but we're supposed to be cool with him getting everything handed to him right away. Like, I don't want that to happen. And I think that is like another thing that's like, if he wins the Rumble, like, okay. But like, we'll talk about it. There's certain things that I feel like are actually almost better for the Rumble or Mania than what we think or what they want us to be excited about.
Okay, let's dive into it.
That. Okay. So, we'll first talk about this because it was the news. That it was announced today that all of the speculation that everyone has been talking about buying the rights to Raw have basically been wrong, because I do not remember, and I might be just forgetting, but I do not remember Netflix being in the conversation at all.
No,
I don't remember anyone reporting on it being Netflix. We heard about like NBC because of Peacock. We heard about Disney because of like ESPN. I forget what else we've heard, but there's like all these other ones. Amazon, I think, was in the conversation.
Yeah, I remember Prime.
And so now Raw is going to Netflix in 2025, signed a 10-year deal for upwards of $5 billion. But then more details came out and said that Netflix has the right to opt out after 5 years, or they can extend for 10 more. So they could easily have the rights to Raw for 20 years.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's big. And then Nick Khan was on the Pat McAfee show and was kind of trying to, I feel like, clarify some of the concerns that people had, because in the initial press release, it did not say that Raw would be staying on Monday. It didn't say if it would be commercial free or not commercial free. It didn't say if it would be staying 3 hours or if it would be going down to 2. And he said that the plan is to keep it as it is and keep it on Monday. But of course, this isn't happening for, almost another year. And then their deal with USA ends in like October or something. So they're going to have to find a home for the end of the year, because then their deal with Netflix doesn't start until January. So that's going to be an interesting situation to watch. But I don't know how to feel about this. And we were kind of talking about it. Like, I don't know if this is a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I hate it. I don't know if it's just, I think maybe we just don't have enough details as it is, because this is like the first time that a show like this is going to be going to Netflix, because for the most part, any shows that are on Netflix are not live. They're like series programs that, you can binge watch in 2 days if you want, because they'll release the entire season or something. So this is like pretty revolutionary, I guess, but it doesn't surprise me, since WWE had the WWE Network before anybody else did that. So it's like, that's very on par for them. But as far as like my initial reaction to it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
I have a lot of different thoughts. I like it because they're getting on board with Xing out cable and moving all over to streaming services. There's this better avenue there. It's different. It is going to be weird with a Netflix live show. We haven't seen that before. But my biggest concern is, what are you going to do with Peacock and, that whole library of content you got? I mean, I heard that SmackDown is probably going to go there at some point. So, in that case, then my question's null and void. But if you're Netflix, like, what are you trying to do with this? My initial thoughts when I first heard about it, because I was at work And it's big news when you have your dad and coworkers talking to you about WWE and asking you like what's going on. So I knew it was a big news there. I obviously being at work today, I didn't get to read all of it until I got home and started part 2. So my initial thoughts were, oh, this is for reality shows and for like more of the, Love in WWE, Bianca Belair,
Well, that's
Tez
on
type
Hulu
stuff.
though.
And it is on Hulu, but I
So
thought it's good, which is another different thing. They're on freaking Hulu, so they're big. That's a whole other topic. Let's stay on track. I thought that was the route they were going to go with this, to try to reach a wider audience, of people who, maybe have a brother, sister, friend, spouse, whatever, that likes it, but they like reality TV. It's the best of both worlds. And it would be more of a in the life of type of thing where you're doing more content like that. When I found out it was like Raw and it was, the actual product, I'm very interested to see how this goes, because now does that mean you do tape stuff? Are you going all live? Like, are you going to try to mimic like a Lucha Underground type of broadcast? I'm fascinated.
Well, because it also said that they'll be doing documentaries. So that is a part of that, which I think that's great too. But I question it too. Like, is it going to be live for everybody? So like right now I watch live with you guys on the East Coast. Does that mean that if it's on Netflix, can I watch it at the same time as everybody else, or do I have to wait? You know what I mean? Like, that's a question. And then it is like, how much of the WWE content is going to be available on Netflix? Is it going to be only Raw? Like, are you only going to put WWE Raw past shows on there? Is it going to be the entire library? Like, that is something that I think is confusing too. I feel like the smartest move would have been to do something with NBC if you planned on staying with Peacock, but I would assume they weren't going to pay them anywhere near the amount of money that they're going to make with Netflix, and that's probably why. But yeah, I feel like the news is fresh, so it's kind of like a lot to try and take in and to try to decipher, and we just don't have enough details right now, and they probably don't even have them all ironed out either, because it's not something that happens for another year. So they also have The Rock too. Do you see that? The Rock is now part of TKO.
Like, this is just, it was a hell of a news day for wrestling. Like,
it was a lot.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Rock is sitting at the head of the table of TKO.
I know people are saying that's what he meant when he was in the ring and said that he wants to sit at the head of the table, that it wasn't for Roman, that it was that he was going to sit at the head because he's going to be like the chairman or whatever.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's
doing. I liked though today that when he was on First Take or whatever, that he didn't imply that him versus Roman is happening this year. That he was saying like it could happen this year, it could be next year or whatever. And I was like, thank you, because like that's another thing when we were saying we don't want things to be halted for other people. I don't want Cody's story to be halted because you guys want to have The Rock in it. Like, The Rock is going to be good today, tomorrow, and in 10 years from now. We don't need to be like, sorry, Cody, we need to put your story on hold again, even though you've been the face of the company for the past 2 years and like you're literally at every single show.
Yeah, I hate how much you're right. Like I mean, I fucking love The Rock. I mean, he is there's only 3 people, if I ever meet in this world, I will cry literal tears. It is Tom Brady, Pedro Martinez, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So like, I want to see him at WrestleMania as much as the next Rock fan, but you're so right that he needs to kind of tease it and be smart about that, and can't halt the current product, because the current product, if you halt it, you're going back to the old ways.
Well, and someone made a good point too. And I mean, he kind of said it too, that it deserved like a buildup, but like, this feels like another John Cena versus The Rock situation where I think it should be a buildup over the course of a year. This shouldn't be The Rock just shows up and then 2 weeks later they're fighting. You know what I mean? It's like, or a month later. It feels like this is, if we're talking about iconic, like that is something that I feel like, yeah, okay, if The Rock versus John Cena got a year in advance, like both times, then The Rock versus Roman Reigns feels like that deserves a year build up as well. Even though it doesn't necessarily need it, because everyone's excited about it right now. It's like, and nothing's even happened, they've not even been face to face, but I would rather see that. And it's like, again, like, yeah, it's WrestleMania 40, it's a big one, but every single WrestleMania is a new bigger WrestleMania.
It's WrestleMania. Like, it's the biggest friggin' event in all of wrestling. Yeah. So I like that. There you go. That's what I was
The Rock story can wait. If anything, let The Rock be a special guest. Something.
And if he's
yes. And we've said that, like, if he's going to be involved in something with Elimination Chamber, because if we're under the assumption that Cody doesn't win the Royal Rumble, we assume that he's somehow going to maneuver his way into the Elimination Chamber match, because Nick Aldis, is not going to let Roman not work WrestleMania, because if Punk wins, he's choosing Seth. That means that Roman's off the hook, or, whatever. So we know that Nick Aldis will try and set something up where he has to work Mania, and that's his way of putting Cody in the match. So I feel like, The Rock can be involved in some sort of way, and that could be the start. Like, what if it starts at Mania 40 and we don't see it pay off until Mania 41? Like,
The Rock costs Roman the match.
Yeah, or
slow count. Or
I don't know, something, because you don't want an asterisk next to Cody's first
title. If Cody wins the next pay-per-view, there's no asterisk.
Okay, well, I'm just like, there's a way that they can involve him that doesn't mean that he, has to have a match at Mania. Like, there's no reason for that to happen this year, but that is a conversation we can have. I just banned that person, by the way.
Why?
Because they kept spamming the same comment over and over again.
I'm sorry. I've been focused in on the conversation, Sarah. So.
Okay. Well, no, I just saw that they said it again, so I just banned them, because no, you're not gonna keep coming in here and banning or spamming. Anyway, let's move on to Seth Rollins, who kicked off the show emotionally.
This was sad.
It was sad, but then it also pissed me off. So there's a lot of emotions.
Of course it did.
Well, yeah. Excuse me. I just burped. That was disgusting. I just can't believe I did
that. Let it go.
Did you hear it?
I heard like the vibrations of it, if that makes sense.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's just pretend it didn't happen. Anyway, Seth Rollins opens the show, and he does it emotionally, which we were expecting, and I'm glad that they just did it at the beginning, because I feel like I did not want to sit there and have to wait and be like, okay, what's going to happen? Yeah. So he's emotional from the start. He walks out with a brace on his knee, which I just love, the like actor part of the whole thing. It's like no one would ever put the knee brace on over their pants, but like whatever. So after he kind of just like soaks in the moment and gets kind of emotional, because the crowd is just like so supportive and chanting for him, singing his song, he talks about how it was just 1 week ago that he was defending the title. And he does let us know that he knew at some point in the match that something was wrong. He kind of felt his knee do something weird, and so he knew immediately, like, oh, something's wrong, he said. But of course, like he always does, he finished the match. He beat Jinder Mahal, and once he got to the back, he sat down and he had that realization that he might be missing Mania this year. And he said, because one of the things that he has always said since he became champion was that after every title defense, he gets like better and stronger, and he feels like, okay, well, now that I'm injured, I feel like I'm lying to you guys, or like I'm letting you down. And he says that they got an MRI on his knee, and it showed a grade 2 MCL tear and a partially torn meniscus. And if he decides to pursue surgery, that he would be out for 3 to 4 months. So basically what everyone had been talking about. Everyone was like, okay, if this is what it is, this is how long he'll be out, blah, blah, blah. So everyone's like, oh my God, no, not Seth. Don't miss Mania. That's how everyone was reacting, right?
I think verbatim, Sarah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, that was verbatim.
Yeah, they all became Patrick Mahomes and started talking like Kermit. And they're like, no. And then my kings, some of them anyway.
This was awesome. I popped so hard. For this, Sarah. I was like,
so was I. So did I, because not just because it was Gunther, okay? Not just because of that. Because my boy Vinci was back also. Vinci was back.
You're so bad.
So Gunther is just like, okay, baby, not so fast. Here I come. And I was like, oh. And he said, we've kind of been avoiding each other. And I felt like right now is the perfect opportunity for me to come out here and tell you what I think of you. And then Seth was all like, and I was like, just let the man talk. Okay. Just let him tell you how much you suck and how much he hates you. Okay. Just embrace it. This is Gunther we're talking about. Okay.
What, he didn't say he'd hate him?
I know. So he says that Seth was always put in a tough spot since he became the first new world heavyweight champion because he was labeled as a workhorse. So he always had to come out and fight every single week for an honest victory. To be a champion, he had to be a champion that brought dignity, that brought respect and honor to the title. And he had to try to be a champion that the people could be proud of, just like him. And I was like, that's so right. And this is the thing. People started then chanting, and not at this moment, but at some point in here, they started chanting Gunther sucks. And I was like, guys.
They did chant Gunther sucks. I did hear that. That was tough. That was a tough look.
I tweeted, I was like, imagine chanting Gunther sucks. I'm like, you guys are dumb. But also, Gunther is probably one of the only champions currently in WWE that has never like cheated to win a match, a title defense. He's like one of the only ones who like actually actively never uses like outside help.
How actively? Because I can think back to the beginning of his title defenses.
Okay, maybe at that point, but I'm saying like,
I'm playing. Come on,
it's 600 and something days as champion. Probably like quite a bit of that has not been. He didn't rely on like Imperium. Like they're never out there with him.
A few more to catch up to my tribal chief, but
Yeah. So anyway, he goes on to say that when he heard Rollins might have to miss Mania, that he was actually sad for him. That it pulled on his heartstrings a little bit. And I was like, oh, human Gunther. Seth then says, you know what? You should have waited until I was done talking because I'm not getting surgery. I don't care what the doctors say. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to keep doing my rehab. I'm going to do what I got to do. And I'm not missing any time. I'm not missing Mania. I'm not doing anything. And this is where I got kind of frustrated. Not because I'm unhappy for Seth. Because obviously I'm not going to sit here and say, oh man, I wish this person was injured and I wish they would miss time. Like I would never say that. But at the same time, I feel like now we know that nothing is going to happen with the World Heavyweight Championship until Mania. Because they're not going to put him in matches. Like they're not going to. This man could barely walk without a limp. So they're not, if he's going to forego surgery, then they're not going to put him in anything until Mania. So I'm like, so then how are you any better than Roman Reigns? I just don't.
We can't think like that, because if you think like that, think,
but that's the thing is like then there's no titles for anybody, any of the men. Why would I want to be in WWE right now? I can't compete for the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw. I can't compete for the Undisputed title on SmackDown. I can't compete for the US title on SmackDown. Why would you want to be there?
Because you have to, like, first off, even if Seth, this just confirmed to me that if they were going to have Seth defend the title before Mania, he was going to win anyways.
Well, yeah, but it's not happening. So
that's my point, is because it's so if he's going to wrestle, if he's going to work Mania, then it doesn't matter if he shows up at those events. He's already been at every pay-per-view this year. Doesn't need it.
But I feel like if you're going to still try to be the workhorse and you're going to try to be the opposite of Roman Reigns, then you kind of need to be defending it on random Raws like he has been.
Mother Nature's got in the way of that.
But now he's going to have 2.5 months of doing absolutely nothing, and he's probably not even going to be there for a lot of them.
I think he'll be there for more than people think.
Maybe, but I'm still just irritated because I was just really looking forward to there being like some unpredictability with the Rumble and with the World Heavyweight title, and
it still could be.
I don't think so.
Like look how Money in the Bank's gonna go, which I see that being an unpredictability.
That's not until June, dude. What are we talking about? Why are we talking about that?
It's because there's still someone who has a Money in the Bank briefcase.
I know, but it's also like it's also like 5 months away. So
what are you? I'm saying there's something Damian Priest could still do something.
I know. Okay, anyway. So then Gunther goes on to say, okay, he was happy to hear that Seth might not miss Mania. And then he just wanted to let him know, okay, well, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and I'm going to choose you as my opponent. And I will target every part of your body that is at 100%. And I am going to become the World Heavyweight Champion. Rollins says, you know what? Okay, cool. But you need to remember who you're going after. And Gunther is like, excuse me, sir, you need to remember who's coming after you. And then they shake hands. And I was like, I mean, come on, Seth. Come on, Seth. You can't just act like Gunther is just another schlump, okay?
He isn't. He's a little different.
So I loved and I hated this segment, if we're going to be honest, because I think we already know that this match is not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen until after WrestleMania, and that depends on if Seth even retains. But I just feel, I said this on Twitter too, that I felt like it was just so pointless for them to have even teased this, because it's like everybody already knows Gunther's not winning the Rumble. And if anyone's going to win the Rumble and choose to fight Seth, it's going to be CM Punk. So, like, why are we going to talk about this? And someone that follows me was like, it's long-term booking. Like, it's just setting it up for after Mania. But we don't need to tease that right now. Everyone's going to forget about this moment the second that CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble. Everyone is going to forget that Gunther said anything to Seth. No one is going to remember this. So that's why I just think it's kind of dumb, because it's like, why are we going to tease that Gunther is going to go after the world title if it's not even going to happen for like 4 months?
That Gunther is going to go after the world title when he gets his first world heavyweight title opportunity. And then all you're doing right now is you're building Gunther's story up for the Rumble.
But a week before, literally,
he's got to get TV time. He's got to get TV time somehow.
I
Put
guess,
him with
but
Seth, main event guy.
You're giving him a story 5 days before the show. That's kind of dumb. That doesn't make any sense.
It's just a little like a cameo.
It's just, to me, it just feels like unless you're actually going to do this, then there's really no point in doing it, because Gunther is not in a position where he needs to be built up to be like, oh yeah, he's a viable opponent. Like, he can be in the world title picture. Like, he is a main eventer. Like, he doesn't need that legitimacy. Like, if anything, he's better than a lot of the main eventers, or he's in with them. So it's like, we don't need that. So I just, who has a comment to tell me how wrong I am?
You're getting just defensive, because that was legitimately the least of what I was thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not.
I was waiting for you to put up a comment about someone telling me how wrong I am.
No, the comment that was hovered over was this one.
Yeah, not happening.
But we already covered that. So
that's not happening. I don't think we have Seth doing anything physical until Mania, and that's why I'm saying I just don't like it. Because like, I am all for, if he feels comfortable and doctors feel comfortable with him foregoing surgery, then that's great. I'm not for having another champion who doesn't defend the title for months at a time. I'm not down with it. I'm just so sick of it. Like, I get it, but like, plenty of other people have had to vacate the title. Like, let's look at the women's tag titles. I know it's not the same, but it's like, oh, so-and-so was gone for 3 weeks and she had to vacate the title. It was like Liv Morgan. She had to vacate the title because she was going to be off TV for 3 weeks because of an injury. But it's like, but Seth Rollins can be like chilling and just maybe doing filmed segments or be at Raw for 5 minutes, and that's okay. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it.
All right, that's fine.
That's because you love everything. Everything WWE does is fantastic. They're never wrong.
Okay.
What?
No, you're not 100% wrong with that. I
know, that's what I'm saying. That's your attitude.
But I think glass half full. Like, there's a lot. Like, there's a new regime.
Though.
I know. That's what I'm here for, to educate the peeps, open their mind to the wonderful world outside of the Vince McMahon booking era, and how we're so Pavlov's dog trained that way.
Are you implying that that's how I think?
I don't think that is how specifically you think. There's traces of it, but
I just want to remind you how many times I've been right recently. So,
okay,
I just want to remind you.
Okay, but like, no.
Yeah, what happened today? What was one piece of the news that dropped today that I was right about?
Was it Okada?
No, Kevin Patrick. I was right about Kevin Patrick.
Oh, Kevin Patrick, that's right.
I'm just saying. What else was I right? I was right about something else recently.
Okay, that's a little. Kevin Patrick is different than.
No, there was something else that I said that I was right about, and you said
actually
that you
did, and I hated that you were right. This is true.
Yeah.
We have people here that have probably a better memory of that than I do, but I do remember it because I remember vividly being like, "I hate how you're right." All this, yes, I do remember this.
You said you hate how I'm right all the time. Is what you
all
said.
the time. And but sometimes, but you nobody's perfect, so like maybe you get a 99 on the test instead of 100.
I'm just saying, maybe you should just give me a little bit more credit for maybe if you think I'm being overly negative, I end up being correct. So
that's
all. That's all. Just a pat on the back. That's all I'm asking.
I'll give you a pat on the back.
Okay. That's it. That's all I need. Thank you. So before we move on to the next part,
I'll give your boys a pat on the back after this match. This was very good.
I know. So Gunther gets out of the ring and immediately my boys are attacked. Imperium, Ludwig, and Giovanni are attacked out of nowhere by the New Day because they are just ready. They want to get this match going. And I was very excited that Vinci was back. Hello, hi, you look good. He got into the audience. He was like right there. I was like, honey, if I was right there. Hello. Hello. I have only had R-Truth and John Morrison on my feet once when I was at a show. They were wrestling at my feet.
R-Truth on my feet. That sounds cool.
That was when R-Truth was a heel. That was when he was seeing little Jimmy. Like he was mean little Jimmy. Yeah, so I was like jealous of all those people. But anyway, so I think that this was a match that I don't think anyone was expecting to be as good as it was. I don't know if it's just because of the participants in the match. Maybe that's why people doubted it. Maybe it's because the storyline is still a little bit fresh. I think part of it is because of the participants, and I'm going to say that their doubts are on Imperium's side more than they are on New Day side because we've seen so many good New Day matches that people just think that Imperium can't keep up. Honey, Imperium were right there with New Day. Okay, this match was physical. They were in and out of the ring. Ended in a DQ, which made me happy because boy, I could sit up here and I could say my boys did not lose. Giovanni Vinci did not get pinned. Okay, so to me that is a win. I don't care that it ended in DQ. They end up fighting around the arena, and it ends with New Day putting Imperium and themselves through 2 tables.
Oh yeah, they put themselves through too.
And this was just fantastic. I was very excited. I was happy that this was the direction that they were going in with this feud and that it wasn't just like a one-off that was like, oh yeah, they like got mad at each other because so-and-so hurt this person and so-and-so hurt that person. Like this felt like, even though I wasn't exactly pleased with the result, just because it's like I would have liked to see Imperium come out on top a little bit more than they did. It was still a great match. So
to me, the DQ implied an Imperium win because it continues the story. I feel like if Imperium got the win, we're sitting here talking about, all right, we can end this New Day. They're on to this. And it's that false hope that we're getting. So now that you have this end in a DQ, and I want to bring up Dickie's comment here because it kind of alludes to my point. There's a blood feud. It's just 2 teams that don't like each other right now. Really all the tag team title or tag team feuds right now have to do with a title. DIY and Judgment Day. The Electric Carnival, and then now Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Beforehand, it was I forget who, and then you still have the Kabuki Warriors. Oh, Alba Fire, the Unholy Union. And then you have now the Kabuki Warriors. So those feuds, I mean, are all centered around a title, a championship. Now you have this feud being just about who is the better team. And this, in a weird, nonsensical way, this is the most important feud of the tag team division right now. I mean, the belts, it's been said in the chat here, the belts are props at this point. It's just props of, the old, and after Mania, we're going to see, a whole refreshed and, new vision with them. And now it's just like, all right, let's just push to Mania, let's just get there. And it's just a status that they're the top dogs, not because they actually are the champions, Um, I like this. I really like this feud. And I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, I want to see this match at the Rumble or whatnot." No, make this like maybe not the main event, but the last match before the end of Raw, like that. It has that type of lore to it,
or even like the main event of the second hour.
Yeah, something like that, and just give them time. You have them have a pay-per-view-esque match on television, get in the crowd, make it a street fight, throw even a stupid gimmick name street fight in it there. I don't care. Just this match needs to have that type of aggressive, extreme type feel to it, hardcore feel. And it's got to that point with these guys because it's elevating them.
Well, and I think in that case, then Imperium has to win because I said, this is what I wanted to. This is what I wanted for Imperium. Like, just call me like Lady Gunther, who was so proud of Kaiser last week and was like, "This is what I've wanted to see from you forever." That is me. This is what I have wanted to see from them, and so I'm glad that Vinci's back, and now they're continuing this because I said I was worried that once he was back, that they wouldn't really continue with like this aggressive, physical, like dominating part of what they've shown with Vinci, or I'm sorry, Kaiser, since Vinci was gone. So I'm glad that they're still doing that. But yeah, so I think that they need to keep doing that, and then if they were to have like a stipulation match, then it's like Imperium needs to win because we need to see them be able to, like I said, they need to be able to be believable, to be the henchmen of Gunther, because Gunther is not going to hang out with a bunch of losers who don't do anything. So, and again, like if New Day lost to Imperium, it doesn't do anything to them. But if Imperium keeps losing, it does negatively impact them, So
1,000%.
But we did see too that Kofi said next week he is challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental title. So that is one way to keep the feud going because obviously Imperium is going to be around. And maybe they'll try and do something to stop Woods of getting involved or something. But it seems like, yeah, this is not done yet, which is nice. And then we also see there's some drama within Judgment Day.
Oh, I love this. About this. I love this segment.
So we see them in the Judgment Day clubhouse in the back, and Damian and Rhea are just kind of going at it because Rhea let them know, hey, you guys are going to be facing DIY next week for the tag team titles, and Damian is not happy about it because it's like, why are you constantly making matches for us? Why are you always in Adam Pearce's office? Like, what are you doing? Why are you always speaking on behalf of us? He then says that she's been walking around with a big head ever since she was put on the cover of WWE 2K24.
Shameless plugs only.
I know, which I was like, you're such a nice tag partner, guy, team member, whatever, I was like, it's so nice of you to do that. But he gets mad and he ends up leaving. Rhea's not happy either, though, because obviously she was just dissed by Damian, but then Finn was kind of like chuckling, which I was like, oh my god,
he was chuckling. He walked into no man's land there.
Yeah, he likes seeing everyone else get in trouble. So because of him being all like smirky and whatever, Rhea was like, what is wrong with you? Like, what's up with you? And was saying like, you can't go out there and help Damian tonight. This is a thing that he needs to do on his own. She tells JD that JD and Dom that they need to get the job done because Dom is facing The Miz tonight, and she tells Finn that he needs to go out there and show he could be vicious because it's been a while since we've seen that side of him. Yeah. So I'm just like, what is going on here? What are we teasing here? Because I feel like it's very up and down with Judgment Day. One week everything's fine and dandy, their smiles, they love each other, they're great, and then the next week it's this, and then it's like very up and down, which is fine because that's life. But it just can get kind of confusing about like, okay, are we nearing the end? Are we not? Like what's going on?
No, we're not nearing the end. This is just another, we'll
speed
say,
bump.
speed bump or a roller coaster ride, of a chapter of their book, because there's no real tension, okay? It's the lashing out, like, why do you keep going to Pierce's office and booking us in matches? I mean, valid point. Why do you? And why don't you ask?
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But then you have R-Truth who's going around, and Damien's like, "No, let's hear the," because he thinks he's kind of a zoo animal puppet in that, with just like, let's show him off, and he brings us, humor and entertainment, and
Yeah.
that pisses off Rhea. So there's a little bit of a butting heads there, and
Mhm.
then that's what leads to, Rhea's comments to the other members of the group, Priest, lashing out, other than a shameless plug, about how big her head's getting with the 2K cover. It's all just building up for a payoff. Um, and I like how she said, "No, that's Damien's business.
Mhm.
He has to go handle that alone." Because at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, no one else in the group has a real issue with Drew
Yeah.
except for Damien. And
Mhm.
I mean, you and I both are Drew McIntyre stands here. Why did you try to cash in during the match, Damien? Why didn't you wait until they beat the pulp out of each other while he's laying on the ground or laying in the middle of the ring, and all you have to do is give the briefcase to the ref and then have him count 1, 2, 3, like
That's
that?
what we were saying. It's like all of his attempted cash-ins are just like so dumb because
They're so dumb. So, like,
it's
I'm gonna
like
be on Drew's side.
well, and it's like look back at the clips. Like I can hear it in my head, when you would with Seth coming out at Mania to do the cash in,
Yeah,
Dolph Ziggler when his music hit after the match, like
yeah,
those are moments that I feel like you would want because it really was a surprise. Like even though people knew that it was probably coming,
yeah.
they hadn't been teasing it 15 times before that.
Mhm.
So to me, I'm like, there must be no real plan for him to successfully cash in or something, because to me it's getting to that point where it's like why do you keep doing this? Like why is he out here? No one's fearing him at this point because it's like you're coming out in the middle of matches, you've attempted to cash in like 5 times and then you can't. It's like it's just it doesn't have the same feel as it has with other people.
What do you think? It's just brain blast. Um, what do you think about, because Drew won, we'll get to why, but um a payoff match, maybe Damien's not ready or whatever, and you keep a little blood feud going between them, and it gets to the point where R-Truth or JD, but preferably R-Truth in this instance, offers up, if Damien doesn't win, then he gets the briefcase. And then Drew gets the briefcase, I mean. And then you have them cost whatever. And then that's the boiling point where no matter what R-Truth does, it's not funny. And then that's the one thing that Judgment Day can finally coexist about again. They're back on their happy trails because of that. And even though Damien lost the briefcase, there's still, Judgment Day now. And the case on Drew, he does a surprise cash in whenever. I don't know. Just spitballing here.
Well, and that's the thing too, because then it's like Drew makes sense to be a champion or to be a number one contender when it comes to WrestleMania. Because if we're talking about Seth winning, if he retains at Mania, Seth versus Drew makes sense. If CM Punk wins at Mania, Punk versus Drew makes sense. Like there's like Drew has so many different avenues he can go down to be the number one contender because there's so many people he could feud with. So I mean, we talked about that being a possibility of Damien like putting it on the line, whether I guess willingly or not. I would kind of feel bad for him in a way, just because it's like obviously when you get told that you're going to win the Money in the Bank, you're going to have the briefcase, like you feel like that's an automatic, like I'm going to be champion. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But if they take it away from him, then you kind of feel bad. And at the same time though, I would almost be like if I were in his position and I knew that I have the briefcase but they didn't ever plan on me winning, that match when I cashed in, I'd rather just lose it. Because I feel doing that is better than having to lose. You know, when you cash in, especially if you cash in after the guy is like beaten to a pulp and you still lose,
then,
like that's more embarrassing. And I don't think that I don't think Damian is like in a spot where we need to be proved to that he's a main event guy. You know what I mean? I don't feel like there's really anyone that would be like, oh, if he were to be against Seth Rollins for the world heavyweight title, no one's going to be like, Damian Priest, you know, like no one's gonna be like, that's weird, you know, like Jinder Mahal, like no one's gonna have that reaction. Or Hook versus Samoa Joe, no one would feel that way about Damian.
Hook so taking ricochet shots,
but you know what I'm saying, like the reaction people had, they were like, he doesn't deserve to be there. Like no one's gonna have that feeling about Damian. So it's not like he's necessarily in a spot where he needs the Money in the Bank briefcase to elevate him. They've done that when he's had the briefcase, so it's almost like what they usually do with the briefcase, they've already done it for him. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to want him to be holding on to it for like until, I mean, because we're farther away from Money in the Bank, but really not that far.
No, we're not. We're not as far as it usually is. Yeah. To cash in. I mean, let's remember here, Otis was Money in the Bank winner. Okay. Damian Sandow was a Money in the Bank winner.
Mizdow.
Though that was the peak. That was the peak of Damian Sandow.
Or I met Cody when he was partners with Damian, when they both had was it
the Road Scholars?
Didn't they have mustaches?
They did. They were the OG Stash Club.
Yeah, Cody with a mustache is weird still. Anyway, I have a weird picture with him. That was a weird day too, because the only reason that I got to meet him was because of Brandy. So I don't know if I've never told you that story.
God love Brandy.
Yeah, I ran into her because I'll tell the story really quick. So this was at SummerSlam Access 2013, and I had gone to 2012, 2011, and 2010. So every single year, that anytime that Cody ever did a signing, he was always at the National Guard I don't know, booth, whatever you want to say. Mm-hmm. And so when it was the next Access time, I was like, okay, we need to go check the National Guard booth, because they didn't tell you where anyone was going to be. They would tell you like, so and so, all these people are supposed to be between this time, but then sometimes people wouldn't show up, or other people were there that weren't listed. So I was like, okay, if Cody's really going to be here, he's going to be at this booth. We go over there, and whoever was signing before was still there. But then the sign said a different name. I can't remember who it was. So let's say it was like Evan Bourne was signing, and then the sign said that the next person coming up was the Usos. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, where's Cody? Because like, you know, and then we're walking to go check the other ones, and there's Brandy. I'm like, okay, Brandy's here, so Cody has to be here. And so I stopped her, and I was just like, oh my gosh, hi, like, and asked for a picture or whatever, because obviously we knew who she was. I think she was still Eden Styles maybe at that time. That was her ring name. That was her ring name.
That's TBT.
This was only TBT. Like, it was like only like a month or two.
That's when I started following her.
Yeah, I think this was like a month or two before they got married. So like that's how long ago this was. And then we asked her, because in the same hour, or in the same 2-hour mark, we had to go meet John Cena. So I was like, I wanted to quickly go and meet Cody first, and then get in line to meet Cena, because I paid like $250 or something to meet John Cena. So I wasn't missing.
You weren't paying that all, yeah.
No. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go meet Cody really quick, and then I'll just cross the street and go, meet Cena. And so I asked her if Cody's here, and she's like, yeah. And then I was like, oh my God. And then she said that he was at the National Guard booth, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And then I was like, okay, like, no, it's fine. And then I just looked at it was with my sister, and I was like, we can't meet him, like, it's just, we're not gonna have time because the line was so long. And then she felt bad, so she was like, no, like, let me work this out, come with me. So we went and stood with her in the booth next to that, waited until Cody was done signing, and got to meet him like quickly as he was leaving.
That's so awesome.
Like, yeah, so it was like, that was really cool. That was really nice of her, because I was like,
nice.
We weren't trying to do anything. It was like legitimate, like, oh my
God.
No,
yeah, you're just like, oh shit, damn.
Yeah, and I mean, it was not the most fun meeting him, because it was literally like, take a picture with him and then go. But I was just appreciative that show the evidence. Are you saying show the evidence? Honey, I've got plenty of evidence. I got pictures with I got my picture with I got my picture with Brandy. I got my picture with Cody. I can show that. That's fine.
Part of the royal family.
Yeah, I have pictures.
One of wrestling's royal families.
I've met Cody. I've held the Intercontinental title. I held the World Heavyweight title when Christian was champion. I got pictures. I met John Cena. John Cena threw me his shirt. Come on now. Don't question me. Don't question me. Okay, moving on. So Nia Jax bores us.
See, I'd rather hear stories of you at Access than listen to Nia Jax.
Oh yeah.
Talk.
I was friends with the ref.
My god.
I was friends with the referee.
I took a selfie with the referee. That was fun.
Yeah, I don't have a selfie with him though. I had his phone number, but I don't have I rode an elevator with William Regal. I was judged by Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder. Thinking I was a ring rat. I also met Brodus Clay. That was weird.
You met the Funkasaurus.
Yeah, before was he the Funkasaurus then?
On a roll.
He might have been. Okay, anyway. Hey, yo. Okay, so Nia Jax.
Oh, my mama.
She comes out and unfortunately she just bores us with the same stuff. This is like, she's gotten a lot better on the mic, which I've credited her for many times on here, but saying the same things that we've heard her saying weeks upon weeks at this point. So she's just saying she's going to win the Rumble and she wants to face Rhea, but Rhea doesn't want to face her because she knows she's going to lose. And I'm like, okay, you've said this like 3 weeks in a row now, honey. Like, we don't need to hear this. But Becky interrupts her and tells her to shut up, which I was like, queen. Also, beautiful hair. She got her hair done. She's fiery.
She looks really good.
Really orange hair. I like it.
Really orange hair.
Yeah, I really liked it. So I was like
Brave.
Queen.
It's like the girl from Brave. It was like that orange.
I loved it. So she just went in and just said, okay, you need to have some new material because you keep talking about this, and maybe you can do something that'll give you something to talk about for the next 5 years, which I was like, I know. She's obsessed with you, Becky. We don't. And she said when it comes to the Royal Rumble, she has the biggest target on her back because everyone in the back doesn't like her. And Becky says that she will enjoy seeing Nia lose almost as much, if not more, than her winning the Royal Rumble herself, which I was like, you know what? I can understand that. But then we get the shock of the century where our role model shows up on Raw. And I was so excited about this because we think that she's going to win the Rumble, but because I don't know if people paid attention or caught this, but she was wearing a Rhea t-shirt on SmackDown. Yes. And even had the initials on her face and everything. So she was like hinting like, I'm going after Rhea, which we said she was going to do. So she comes out and she says both Becky and Nia are going to lose because she's going to be winning the Rumble and she's going to be challenging Rhea. She cheap shots Becky. They all just like start brawling a little bit, and then we see Nia drop a Hulk Hogan leg drop on Bayley, and that is that. So more hyping of the Royal Rumble and the feuds of what can come and what cannot come, blah blah blah.
This was smart. This was smart for Bayley to appear. I mean, if you were paying attention, Damage Control was sneaking in the back trying to find their way. So there was a little Easter egg during the Jey Uso New Day when Kofi challenged Gunther. You saw them in the background. So I was like, all right, good. Damage Control's here. And what this did was it teases that, they're actually going to do this. They're going to go and she's going to challenge Rhea. Because I feel like right now it's everybody's guess. The mortal lock is Bayley to win the Rumble. And she has to. I don't think there's any other woman right now who deserves it. It's got to be Bayley.
I had someone, so we've had that video, right? Like we talked about it, I don't know, on a show. And so I made it in a video saying like, she has to win. I really had someone comment and was like super snarky being like, no, she doesn't. She makes no sense. Becky makes the most sense to win the Rumble, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I get that you have your favorites. Bayley isn't even like one of my top favorites. Like, yes, I like her and I'm a fan and whatever. But like when I think of my favorites, it's Becky, like currently. Becky and Rhea.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, Bayley's up there and I'm not being I'm not being biased by being like,
no,
it's gonna be Bailey. It's like, no, it makes the most sense for Bailey to win.
it makes the absolute most sense, and you can still have a path for Becky to face Rhea at WrestleMania. So it doesn't make sense. It's a harder path to have Bailey face Io, which is obviously the I think end goal, and it's something that people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to do that if Becky wins the Rumble. So you have to think like that.
Well, it's like the storylines, it's so much easier. Like, there's so much more that can come out of Bailey winning than Becky. Becky doesn't need a Royal Rumble win to challenge Rhea. So
no one else right now needs a Royal Rumble win.
No,
other than Bailey.
No, because the Royal Rumble is different than the Money in the Bank. Like, the Money in the Bank is the one that usually they try to give it to somebody who kind of needs that push into becoming like into the main event. It's like, okay, we believe in you. Like, this is your time. Here is like a reason. Like, this is your opportunity to prove to us that we're right about you. It's kind of like what it is. The Royal Rumble is not really like that. You know, the Royal Rumble is mostly like, okay, who do we want in the main event and who will make it a lot easier for us to put together a storyline and make it compelling enough that people are going to care. That's kind of like
it's a spotlight. It's a spotlight rather than a golden ticket of opportunity. You know, like if you win the Rumble, you are, the main character, we'll say, for the road to WrestleMania. With the Money in the Bank, I equivocated to like the NXT breakout tournament. It's like, all right, we believe that you have championship material written on you. Now give us a moment to capture the opportunity. That's really is. It's very different but very similar. So, but the Royal Rumble is more about stars and main eventers winning a match to get the moment, their WrestleMania moment, the moment they deserve as that top guy. The Money in the Bank is more like just a here you go, see what you can do. It's not as much as a guarantee, and people forget about it.
True. Then we can quickly move on because there's one segment, the Cody segment. I want to talk about that. Chad Gable versus Ivar. Y'all sleep on this match, okay? Everyone loves Chad Gable. That's fine. Y'all need to stop sleeping on Ivar, though. Okay, Ivar, this man is doing work. So, my main note from this match is, what business does Gable and Ivar have by constantly putting on top-notch matches? Like, what business do they have doing that?
They're so good. They're so just quick, fast-paced, a lot of technical stuff and a lot of technical stuff that a big man should not be doing. A lot of high-flying stuff that a big man should never be doing. It's absolutely insane what that man can do in a wrestling ring. I mean, we're almost at the conversation of, should this man have a title on him? Like, Ivar greater than sign Logan Paul US champion.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing too that I love, is that it like breaks stereotypes, because like there are so many things that people will say about bigger guys in wrestling, and a lot of the time they're right. Like when you're thinking about the Big Show, like the Big Show's not putting on 5-star matches. And I'm not saying Ivar is, but like our Ivar is putting on matches. Well, Ivar puts on matches that you actually want to watch. Big Show put on matches you didn't want to watch, because like you already knew he wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot because he's so big and this and that. But then it's like Ivar, you might look at him and be like, okay, like it's just another big guy match. They're not going to do anything, but he's doing everything that the small guys are doing. So it's like, no, he deserves your attention because, he's doing things that I don't know that we've ever seen a 300 and something pound man do before. And then you got Chad Gable in this match, who's lifting that dude like he's nothing. And you're like, how is this happening? It was just so good. And I said it deserved 4 stars.
That move where Gable slips out from when he's there on the top rope and then hits him with a German.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. And there's no business of him doing that. And it's just absolutely insane to me. It's insane.
Yeah. So I'm just glad we're still seeing Ivar featured, because, when you have a tag team partner that is out with injury and you're not New Day, you're not the Street Profits, I guess, you're like not the Hardy Boys, Like, they're going to shelf you. So I'm glad that they recognize that Ivar is good enough and talented enough that he should still be on TV, even if it is by himself. They'll figure out a way that makes sense for him to still be doing stuff. So I am excited about that, and I'm sure there's not many of us that are excited about that. But that's okay. We will lead the Ivar support train. That is fine. So let's get to the meat and potatoes, I would say, of the entire show, which was Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And they brought the heat, brother.
This was the best segment of the night, hands down.
I have a lot of notes on this, so bear with me.
Go off. I'll react. How about that?
Yeah, I'm just going over everything they say, basically, because I just felt like there's a lot that we could say about
There's
what they
a
said.
lot to unpack. There is.
So Cody comes out, and before he even gets to say anything, we hear Punk's music hit. So Punk comes out, and he says immediately that, you know, other than wanting to take this moment in, because who would have ever thought that we would see Cody Rhodes in the same ring in WWE, of all places, with CM Punk. And I think other than that, having Cody in the position that he's in a match or in the ring against CM Punk. That's a whole other topic. But he said that he immediately wants to start talking about Dusty, basically. Tells a story about how Dusty asked him back in 2007 if he could keep an eye on Cody as he first goes to OVW. And he says, I've seen you progress from just starting out in the business to becoming the bona fide main event championship caliber superstar that he is now. And he said, you know, this might sound condescending coming from anybody, but you know me, and I just want to let you know that I'm proud. And I was just like, the amount of times that you could tell that Cody just wanted to like cry. I was like,
oh my God, it was incredible.
I was like, Cody, I love you.
Why I love Cody Rhodes promos is because there's a slight chance that man's gonna shed it too.
Yeah, I love it. I just that's like, I think it is partially why I said it too. I always refer to my tweets because like sometimes if there's a thought that I have, I feel like I have to say it, you know, like when I'm watching it. And I feel like I think I said this, but it's still surreal for someone who's been a fan of Cody's as long as I have, that like he's in this position that he's in right now. Because even if I say like I always thought that he could be here, like I always could see that he could be a big star, and you know, he wasn't given that chance until he ended up leaving and then made sure it happened. Like it's still kind of crazy to see like where he is, that he is the face of WWE when before it was like he wasn't even on the poster. Like I went to a SummerSlam where his match was booted from the show because like that was where he was on the card. Like they didn't care. So it's like crazy now that we're talking about him like main eventing another WrestleMania. Like that's just insane to me. Like, so I understand that emotion for him. To me, it just makes him feel so much more human because he understands like how big this is. You know what I mean? Like it means a lot to him. And I feel like a lot of people that are in the position that he's in, they get jaded by it. Like they don't care. It's another Monday. Yeah, they're in the main event, whatever. Like it doesn't mean anything to them anymore. So I like that we still see that no, Cody like still gets emotional, like thinking about what's happening in his life. You know what I mean?
Oh, 1,000%. Yes.
So let's see. Oh, I scrolled down too far. So Punk says that he feels like what has to happen at the Royal Rumble this weekend is kind of betraying what Dusty originally asked him to do, which was to look out for Cody. And it's like, well, we're friends, and I hope you remember that on Sunday morning, because I'm going to do whatever I got to do to win the Rumble match. I will punch you in the face. I will throw you over the top rope. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure that I main event WrestleMania. Cody then confirms that the story that he told was true. And he says that even though he feels like he was only given a chance in OVW because he was a Nepo baby, essentially. He says that he agrees about there being no friends in the Rumble. So Punk doesn't really have to worry about that. But Punk says, you know, I know that I can separate business from personal, but I'm not so sure you can, because this business is personal for you. You grew up in this business. It means everything. You were lucky enough to have a legend like Dusty Rhodes as your dad. And even though we've had different paths, we do have a similar goal. Except I had to scratch and claw to get to where I am today. And even though people think that everything was handed to you, Cody, I saw you carry the burden of being Dusty Rhodes Kid and seeing everything that you had to do to separate yourself from living in his shadow, and you have accomplished that. Cue Cody getting emotional again. I watched the segment again this morning, and it was just like another one where Cody's like, and I was like, Cody. So Punk goes on to say that part of the, other than the fact that their lives have gone differently, like in wrestling, they also lived very different lives. Because his dad was blue collar.
This was my favorite part. This was awesome.
He said his dad was a blue collar. He was an electrician, which is kind of ironic because it makes him more like the American dream than Cody. And I was like, oh boy, brother, shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired ahead.
Yeah. So
when he quoted the promo,
yeah,
it was incredible.
Yeah. I was like, ooh. Okay. I was like, I was excited for this because it's like, at first it was like exchanging pleasantries, it was like, oh, I'm so proud of you, like we're friends. Yeah. We've known each other for so long. And I was like, is this how it's gonna go? Like, you hyped this up and this is how it's gonna go. So I like that it had this bit of a twist, because even like Punk, I wouldn't say neither of them were perfect in this at all, but I would say like there was a point where I think Punk kind of was like stumbling a little bit just because he like repeated himself a couple times. So I don't know if he was like trying to figure out the direction he was going, but it was like, it made it feel more genuine to me, than genuine. Like
this felt like a very genuine.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was even better. It was like that made it better, So then Cody, visibly trying to he took that hit but is trying to ignore it. He brings up the infamous pipe bomb.
This was
of CM Punk, and he says everything that you talked about in that pipe bomb, I did. And he said, you know what, you came in, you said all of that, you said what you wanted to say, then you left, but you really left. And you dropped the torch on the ground on the way out, and you didn't give a damn who picked it up. And he's like, but you know who did? I did. I picked that up. And everything that you said in that promo, I did. So I guess that's kind of ironic because it makes me a little bit more CM Punk than you. And I was like, Cody.
It was so brilliant that they went back and forth on two things that are pretty much their identity, and they were like, well, I did what your whole identity is built off of. I am pretty much your father's kid because I am more of your father than you are. And it was just so personal, just to the point where it really felt like it was a big match, or if someone was gonna, swing at one another. Like we're getting that tension built right before the match, and it's awesome.
What I thought was funny though is like, he Punk came in and went right at Cody where it hurts him, right? By being like, I want to talk about your dad. And even if it was like it was like, yeah, I know, right? I saw someone post a meme about it being like, hey, Cody. And Cody's like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And then it's like a picture of Christian in a chair being like, I want to talk about your dad. And I was like, this is so stupid, but it's so funny.
I love wrestling, man.
Obviously, he went right for where it hurts Cody, because anytime you talk about his dad, obviously it's going to be emotional for him. So it's like he knew what he was doing, right? So Cody then listens to what he has to say, but he doesn't get mad. He just like what he got from Punk, he gave it back to him. But Punk gets pissed, which I was like, oh boy, you want to disprove that you have a short fuse? Cody just got you to level 10 with one comment. So he gets straight into Cody's face and he says, you know what? Your path to finishing your story, you see it and you want to try and finish it, but then you see someone coming in your way, a much bigger superstar than you, and you might not be able to do that this year. And he says, and of course I'm talking about me.
Oh yeah, that's why he said it. I know why he said that,
and
which
then
is hilarious.
Cody
that was a good line.
Cody then drops a John Wayne quote that I guess Dusty used to say to him. But basically, he's just saying he's ready for the challenge, and no matter what, he's going to do it. He then drops the mic, and then Punk grabs him, and then they angrily stare.
Oh, that was an angrily. Yeah, that was a good quote. Courage.
So,
yeah, courage. Do you have it?
No, because I don't want to. I don't want to literally do everything verbatim. But no, I don't have it.
It was something about courage being... I'll think of it.
And something about getting back on the saddle. But yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
Other than the fact that this was great, this is my immediate thought was I would rather see this at WrestleMania or something than CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Like, I know that we still have time for that to get exciting, but like at this point, I'm like, this is so much cooler to me. Like, this feels, I don't know. I'm just more excited about this because I think that I don't know, this feels more wrestling-y to me. Like, I don't know how to describe it, where it's like Seth has more personal beef with Punk, but then that it's not like how they're trying to make it is it's like, oh yeah, no, it's real. And
no, it's
like,
kayfabe beef.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't have the same. It doesn't give me the same feeling because it's like that they're just trying to take advantage of the fans' perspective or the perception that the fans have of their beef. And kind of similar to like what they did with Matt Riddle, but it's like it was so easy to hate Matt Riddle, so it wasn't like the same thing as with CM Punk. But it's like I would rather see CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, but maybe not at Mania, but in general, like I feel like that has more,
SummerSlam.
That seems more exciting to me than CM Punk versus Seth Rollins right now. Not you. Yeah. Okay.
No. I want Seth Punk.
Well, I said maybe not at Mania.
I still want Seth Punk.
I agree. Seth Gunther, Cody Punk, those would be sick. If it weren't for Cody still wanting to finish the story, I would be all for this. But I want Cody to.
He's got to finish. That's where that's where
so that's what I'm saying.
He can't win the world heavyweight.
No,
like, he can't. It's like winning the MVP.
I think he was saying like if he were to face Punk this year, like that does seem better than like Punk versus Seth this year. But I want Cody to win the title this year, so I don't want it to go against Punk at Mania right now. And then I just want to talk about this really quickly. We don't have a whole lot to say about it. What?
I'm gonna bleep. I'm gonna use an expletive. Fuck the Hulk Hogan. I hate Hulk Hogan.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was interesting. They do a little promo kind of video for him where we're celebrating 40 years of Hulkamania, and Hulk Hogan implies that he might be down for one more match. And I was like, I don't think anyone wants that.
The amount of just absolute, I don't even know what to call it, just hate I was seeing from quote tweeted from this clip of him saying I still got one more left in me is laugh out loud funny of how many people were like, get out of here. We want nothing to do with you. Do not ruin this. It was one of the few times that wrestling Twitter was all in agreement and in unison with their response to this, which I loved.
Yeah, I think obviously he's not telling the truth, but I think that WWE,
he's teasing, but
WWE will look at what the reaction was, obviously, but I think that Hogan kind of forgets that we live in the social media internet era, so everything that you do that's like offensive or controversial or whatever, even if it was 30 years ago, like everyone knows about it now. Like back when he was popular and all you had to rely on was TV and like newspapers and magazines, right? Which they weren't like reporting on things like instantaneously. Like you could get away with some of this stuff because everybody didn't have a camera or a phone with a camera and they didn't have the internet to post it to. So it's
have a voice. Yeah.
He's getting exposed for all of his bad behavior. So it's like you can't just go and act like no one knows or no one has feelings about you. This isn't the 80s where like people love you because they see you on TV every week and that's all they know about you. It's like, no, people have feelings about you because they've seen all of your other tomfoolery outside of the ring. So
I can't stand him. I can't.
Yeah, I just thought. I mean, I have to embrace.
We have to.
I have
We
to
have
wait.
to.
No, you didn't even let me finish.
I'm
I have
sorry.
to embrace Hollywood Hogan. Only that era because of the NWO. That's it. That's the only Hogan
I'll give it to you because that's your. I'll give it to you. He was kind of cool, but like
Yeah.
the other people were cooler.
Well, yeah. Hello.
I mean,
Anyway, okay.
Big
So
Daddy cool.
you're just trying to taunt me now, and I don't appreciate it because why would you even say
That's
that?
my favorite. You have your favorite. I have mine.
Yeah, Scott Hall was way cooler. Stop. No one would ever say that Kevin Nash was cooler than Scott Hall. Stop.
No, I was
Stop.
referring to Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Not really saying he
Whatever.
was cooler. I was
Whatever.
not saying anyone was
So
cooler.
whatever. So then we're moving on to the main event, which was Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I thought it was a fine match. It was a bit brutal. We see that Damian takes it out of the ring right away, throws Drew onto the announcer's desk, which I was like, man, because he got that like big old scratch on him like right away. And I was like, ouchie. And it just progressively got redder and redder as the match went on. I don't know if you noticed that, but yikes. Then we see R-Truth. He comes out and inadvertently distracts Priest because earlier he wanted to give him the wad of money and Priest was like, no, not right now. So Truth was like, okay, well, now is the time. And Priest wants nothing to do with it. So then he's like, oh, you want it in the briefcase. Okay. So he tries to put it in the briefcase, but then he doesn't know the password is what he was saying. And I'm just like, oh my God. So then he starts
such an icon.
So he starts yelling like, what is it? Blah, 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 blah. And Priest gets pissed, throws him off the side of the ring. McIntyre takes advantage of it to hit the Claymore and win. And so that was exciting as someone who is a Drew McIntyre fan. I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. And then, there's not a whole lot to say about that, but it was nice to see that Drew got the win. Then you see that Drew allegedly has not re-signed with WWE. And if he doesn't re-sign with WWE, then he's like a free agent immediately after Mania.
Really?
So, yeah. And I'm like, it's sad because like normally I don't want to believe, like the dirt sheets and stuff because like they get stuff wrong.
All the time.
But I really feel like we could, like, what is happening right now feels like this could be the end for Drew. Like it feels like this could be like a launching pad to like great things. Like he's going to be world heavyweight champion, or he's going to have a big match at Mania, or he's like going to face whoever the world heavyweight champion is, or this could be like him going down, like getting out. You know what I mean? I feel like it could be interpreted both ways. And that kind of bums me out because I feel like Drew has done a lot of great things in his return to WWE, but I feel like he can still accomplish a lot of greatness, and we're seeing some of his best work right now. And so it would be really a shame for them to not reward him for that.
Yeah, they need to lock him up, and the way that they're doing him right now, kind of dirty. And it's more circumstantial because you have Punk coming in, you have Cody still needing to finish his story. You have whatever the Bloodline's doing, and Roman, and how he's potentially, got something going on with The Rock. And then like there's just so many moving parts that it's sad to say that he's getting lost in the shuffle. And he's someone that you can't lose.
Well, but there's so many like compelling stories that he could be a part of. Like I said, it could be versus Seth, it could be versus CM Punk, it could be versus Damian, it could be against Sammy, it could be Jey Uso. Like there's so many, and they're not doing anything with Jey. Jey hasn't even come out. I don't even know how many weeks. I
mean, it feels like years.
How many weeks it's been since he's had a match. Otherwise, he's been the last several weeks. He's just
lurking.
been in backstage segments.
He's been lurking.
So, like there are options for him, and that are actually more interesting than what some other stories look like they're going to be from here to Mania. So it's like that makes me sad because it's like, even if I'm biased and I feel like he should have his Mania moment, especially since he only got it in front of nobody during the pandemic. If that's not what he's going to have at Mania, I still feel like he deserves some big moment at Mania. And because of how much he's been doing right now, like he's killing it. And it's like, it's sad that we're going to prioritize, again, like we said earlier, I don't want Drew to be put on the back burner, much like I don't want Cody's story to be put on the back burner to be pushing other people like CM Punk or whatever. It's like, no, these guys have been busting their ass ever since Punk left, you know? Yeah. So it's like they deserve to have their moment in the sun just as much as some people think that Punk does, as if Punk hasn't reached the peak like multiple times, but whatever. So hopefully we'll hear that he resigns, because the last time that they were talking about Drew, they said it wasn't real. Remember when Triple H was like, yeah, that's not real. So I would like to believe that that's the case, but I'm just not sure. So that bums me out, but I guess we'll see.
We will have to see what goes on next. And that was Raw.
Yes,
pretty solid. I'm gonna give it a nice B+.
Okay. Also, we will be back on Thursday to talk some news, whatever's going on, because there's a lot of news.
They love dropping news on our day. But most importantly, what are we talking about, Sarah?
We're gonna do Rumble predictions, but like, you know, there's only so many things that you can talk about when it comes to the Rumble. Like, so that's why we're gonna also talk about the news and stuff, because we're gonna need to fill the hour, you know. But
Sarah,
we can talk about like who we think is gonna win and like who we think surprise returns will be, blah blah blah.
So we're gonna be also doing the drawing for our Rumble pool.
Oh yeah.
You're getting your numbers. We're getting our numbers for the Rumble pool. I got my group chat asking me, you know, it's getting close. What are we doing? Well, you got to tune into the show to find out whose numbers who for the Rumble pool. All right. I'm very excited for that. Cannot wait. Okay. And I think we might even incorporate some fans, loyal peeps that have been here from day one. Maybe one or two spots, I think, are open at the moment. So we're going to do it. All right. We'll be picked or something, or reach out. Here's the thing. If you want to be part of the Rumble pool, you got to follow us. Prove that you follow us, and then hit one of us up in a DM, and we'll put you in that little raffle to be in the Rumble pool. And the drawing will be part of the 3 count on Thursday during our Royal Rumble show. It's gonna be fun. All right, it's my favorite event of the year outside of Mania. I mean, I just told my buddy that's my Saturday night. I'm so excited, and it's just a fun event. I mean, it's one of those few events in wrestling where everyone who is in the room, wrestling fan or not, will be entertained at some point during the match. And that makes it a really special event for wrestling. So we'll be back on Thursday to talk about all Royal Rumble shenanigans and news going on as well. And I'll say it one more time. To be part of the Rumble pool, you got to follow us on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it. I still say Twitter. At Pat_Pitts. It's down here. Okay. Oh, we should probably do the YouTube channel, right? No, Twitter.
Twitter is easier, yeah.
Twitter. We're doing Twitter. No. At Pat_Pitts or at SMarshXO. All right. Prove that you follow us and hit us up if you would like to be part of the Rumble pool. And hit that subscribe button. You're already here. All right. If you're here and watching, not subscribed, what are we doing? Hit that subscribe button, bell notification to know every time we post, because Sarah cuts up those clips. We got one about our dear friend Kevin Patrick, and you know, all the news that happened with him today. We couldn't talk about today. Well, we have a video about our thoughts about Kevin Patrick, so go check that out on our YouTube channel. And then we'll be back on Thursday for the Rumble show. God, thank you for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Thursday.